So hello, here we are again with the wrestling conditioning program. We have done badminton, tennis, boxing so far, and today we'll be doing wrestling, and I'm quite looking forward to it because I'll tell you why. I haven't worked much with wrestlers. I have done a workshop where I have advised wrestling coaches at the national level and explained to them what to do from an energy system, from an exercise point of view, from overloading. But I have never really worked one-on-one with a wrestler, and this sort of will be helpful for you because you might also be in a situation like this. So I'll show you how I would, as an experienced coach, work with a new sport even if I have not actually worked with them before. Why am I so confident to know that I can still work? Because the principles stay the same, the understanding is the same, the human body is the same. It's just that I need to know the different energy systems, the muscular actions, and then how can I use all my expertise of all the exercises I know to fit in with these two and create a program which peaks the person at the right time. So when you'll be faced with new sports which you've never worked with or new events, this is what you do, what I'll be doing now. Okay, so hope that helps you to know exactly how to look at a new sport. So the objectives of this particular lecture and the following one with wrestling is, first, will, as newbies, let's say I'm also a new person, you're also a new person, and we now have not much clue, we haven't worked with wrestlers. So how do we go about it? So the first thing to do is understand the sport and understand it, one, from the technical perspective, how it is played, maybe what are the point scoring systems, how many rounds are there, how is a winner chosen. So that's okay to know. That's not as important though. What's most important is that you have to understand the physical and also the physiological and the biomechanical demands. So meaning physical as in what happens with the body in wrestling. Second, what happens with the physiology inside, what's happening externally with the mechanics and the muscles, and inside as well. So once you can know this, now comes your knowledge of all the exercises that you know, the programming that you know, to match these two, to form the bridge. And if you know these two sides, okay, if you know your own exercise sequencing, what happens with dumbbells, barbells, kettlebells, explosive lifts, medicine ball work, all these different things. And then if you know what is it that you want to use it for, it's like knowing your medication and then learning about a new disease which you've not known before, but now you have the confidence because you know your medications and what they do. So now you can match. But first, what would you do if you're a doctor? You would learn about the new disease. What's the things that I need to know, understand. So this is exactly what we approach as well for any sport that you've not worked. And there's always going to be a sport, because there are so many, that you would not have a clue. But that does not mean you have to be scared or you have to be wrong or make wrong workouts or wrong judgments. So that's what we'll try to understand first about wrestling. Okay, good. We'll be identifying like the physiological, biomechanical, morphological requirements, and we'll learn to design periodized conditioning programs for wrestling. And I've been saying this across all the lectures. That's your job. That's what we'll decide. And how do we create a program, and we'll follow this journey together. Okay, think of me also as a newbie who's not really put in time with wrestling, and you're also a newbie. So let's say, how do we figure out a new sport? We'll also recognize how freestyle and Greco-Roman styles differ. So again, here what am I doing is, first I've figured out that wrestling Olympics is not just one sport where you go in and this is what is wrestling. Like boxing, you know, it's boxing. There's no two styles of boxing because you just punch with your arms, the fist connects, and the rules are the same, the punches are the same, the weight categories are different. But in wrestling, there's two major styles, freestyle and Greco-Roman, and we'll go through that. And then within wrestling, just like boxing, there's weight categories, and how that affects we'll also go through. We'll also learn how to develop a macro cycle. So what's a macro cycle? In periodization, and for periodization again I would suggest go through the strength and conditioning course. You will have all your basics cleared there. So periodization is where You train for different requirements, whether it's endurance, stability, strength and power. And then the idea is that whole period that you have, let's say you have 3 months for a competition. Now that's your macro cycle, within which you will decide, am I going to focus on endurance because this sport needs that, or whether am I going to focus on strength and power, up to what point do I want to go, how will I do it? That's what is broken down. So the macro cycle, the meso cycle, the micro cycle. Okay, so macro, meso, micro, basically you break it down. There's a big box of training, then you realize, okay, I'm going to do this for this month, this for this, and then what am I going to do is what you decide. The repetitions, the rest period, all the different variables, frequency, intensity, type, training, all these you manipulate. And that's basically what is periodization, or what we can call here a macro cycle, where you know exactly what you have to do, and then you break it down and you create. And that's where a good coach, a top coach would be able to do this, because he would know exactly when to peak, and that's what we want to do. And I've been saying this again and again, that's all you have to do. That's what is the requirement of the support staff when they really come in, to help physically. We are not there to teach them to do wrestling. We are here to give them stronger bodies that they can use in wrestling, period. That's all there is. And finally, which is again similar to what we've spoken, design an evidence-based conditioning plan aligned with the bout structure, meaning when it starts to when it finishes, and the athlete level. If it's an advanced level person, or is it a beginner, or is it an intermediate person. So all these factors matter. The more you can break down things, the more you can create specific things to match it. It's the principle of generalization versus specialization. So generalization is where we look at something as one unit, and sometimes this happens in many sports, and I hope you guys don't make that mistake, but I'll give you some ideas what happens, okay? And I've had these experiences with different coaches, and I'll tell you a story here. Badminton as a sport, in which I've worked extensively, there's this belief that skipping is very important. Any coach will tell you that skipping is part of it. Similar with boxing. There are many coaches who will say boxing and you'll have all these fancy drills. Is it important? It can be. But again I ask, is it important that you have to do it? Not necessary. And I'll tell you the story as in of this player I've mentioned earlier who qualified for the Olympics. Twice I worked with him. Earlier he won the World Championship bronze medal, that was his highest achievement. Then he qualified for the Olympics playing brilliantly. During both these macro cycles that I worked with him extensively, first time maybe for a year and a half, later on close to around 14 months, did I do any skipping? No. Did he move well? Absolutely. He moved his fastest. He was hitting, everybody was impressed with his smashes, he himself, his power, his movement. But I didn't do any skipping. So how did that happen? Because skipping can be used as a choice. So here comes the generalization versus specialization. The generalization is where sometimes it is ritualistic, where people believe that you're a boxer, you need to do skipping. You're a badminton player, skipping. You're maybe a tennis player, medicine ball throws. This is where we as sports science specialists, we need to understand to look at a movement as a unit which we'll use for something. It's like a medicine, but it does not mean that medicine has to be taken. There's a saying, and I've not used this saying I think in the other lectures, but I'll tell you this. It's about climbing on a mountain, and I mentioned this many times to others also, and I don't know if I've mentioned to you, but there's always different ways to get to the top of a mountain. So skipping is one way. There could be players who do skipping and play well, but that does not mean everybody has to do skipping. For this player that I worked with, he didn't do any skipping, but I made him do 400-meter runs. We did a lot of Tabata. His yo-yo test was around, his score was somewhere around 22 point something. So extremely good. Did we do any skipping? No. He had the stamina? Yes. Could he hit hard? Yes. Was he moving fast? Yes. That's it. So it's the biryani principle again. What I always say, he was ready for the day. He could move. That's important. The process is not important. the product is important, and to create that product and to make that process effective, the person is important. So, person, process, product. So, fitness is a product, process is the training, and the person is you who decides. And if you are sharp, then you can make sense of these. But if you are not open to learning, or if you have your own beliefs that this is it, if I am working with a badminton player skipping, or if I am working with somebody who is into football, just long distance running or whatever, or certain drills which have to be done. So, there is no have to, there is no have to, there is only effective principles that are applied to movements, and then the result is shown. Result is the key, that is your biryani, the cutting of the onions, everything, different people cut it differently, but then can you do it, and can you do it tasty, can you do it, most importantly in sport, is at the right time. And this is where sport training, sports, if you look at strength and conditioning coaches, sports science specialists, the one thing that differs from them from many of regular gym trainers is mainly they can ready people at the right time because they know the science behind it. Otherwise, even a regular gym trainer can teach you how to do an exercise, military press, maybe even your clean and jerks. There are CrossFit trainers who will do those. They will in fact do it themselves, be very strong. The difference is the person behind will not have the mental capacity to plan, to read, okay, to understand the logic. They will be able to do the moves but not know the logic behind it. The more you can know the logic, and if you can practice it yourself to an extent, but if you know the logic, know the process a bit, results on time. And sport is all about giving results on time. If your person peaks 1 month later after the competition, you have missed the boat. And this is where top athletes, coaches, top sports science professionals, top people, they stay relevant because they can create results. Creating results is the key. That's it. It's not the workout. Too many people get focused on the workout as if the workout's important. And sadly, like I keep saying, in today's world of Instagram, too many of us are focused on making a reel with an athlete and showing like this is how Mr. XY won this competition, these were the exercises. And like I've said before, I would never show the exercises. If they're effective, why would I show? Why would I show everything? And nobody shows. And I'll tell you something which was told to me by a top badminton player of India. And she had said, that when she used to practice and when the media would come for interviews or anything, the coach, again, who's a top coach, he would tell the girl also, and he would tell the other players that we'll be doing basic drills today, because he didn't want the cameras to capture what are the specific drills he does. And this is how with a lot of top level coaches it is. What you see on camera, firstly, top level coaches will never show. But if they have to do something during the Olympic cycle or during a top channel wants to do something, they will not show. Many times I have been in a situation where students have been doing, and I will never show. I will make them do some basic exercises so that it looks like as if it's nothing. But because again, like I said, why will any coach who has put in decades of experience learning, why will they just show what they do? And especially to people just to impress them. So those who show don't know. Those who know don't show. Okay, hope that makes it clear. Okay, now here the first difference, this picture, when I did my research, when I was going to do these lectures, I did my research on wrestling and I went through, and I think this picture explains all that in one shot. So freestyle wrestling and then this Greco-Roman, these are the two styles in Olympic wrestling. So what can we see here? You can see on the left side, the person who's holding the other one, you can see his arms where they below the hip, at the hip, right? His own knee is touching down. Greco-Roman, the arms are above the hip. Okay. So basically Greco-Roman interaction where two people sort of fight or wrestle with each other is all above the waist. There's no grabbing of the leg. There's no grabbing of the ankle. Whereas here you can see he himself is down. He can go from here to down as well. So freestyle wrestling is what is different. This is extremely power dominant. a lot of strength and power here because it's all a lot of lifting and lifting from the top. You really can't do anything with the legs. This is of course about that, but this is also about a lot of agility, a lot of quick actions where they go down, go for the legs and try to take each other out. And a lot of freestyle wrestlers are the ones who have gone into mixed martial arts like in UFC to fight with other athletes, and it helps them because they can get down and work on the legs as well. In this is like pure wrestling, and that means you don't touch the feet, you don't really go below the hips, so you don't need to quickly go down. So what I would tell you and what I have done myself when I did research on this is you start going into videos. When you don't know a sport, watch videos. Before watching the videos, watch the rules of the game. Just type in YouTube and check what are the rules. So you'll know how many rounds are there, what are the movements. Moment you get that, you get an idea. And then like I've always said, watch some matches of the top players. Then also watch some matches of the very average ones, maybe at local district level there's some matches are there, and if it's on YouTube, just so now you can know the difference between the top ones and you will know the difference between the average ones, and then you'll be able to know exactly where you fit and what you bring in. So do research, okay? Research nowadays is so easy. YouTube has so much info. You have to use it for the right things and not just be on the phone watching some reels and wasting time. So if you can do this, okay, of doing research on it here, like for example what I did, now I know exactly what I'll have to work. If I'm creating a program for a freestyler, I would also have to look at his hip going down because he'll be a lot lower a lot of the time. And the videos that I watched of some of the wrestlers who are in Greco-Roman, I could just see big guys generally, and they are not as agile, but at the same time they're extremely strong. The gripping that happens, it's a lot of pushing, somewhat like a bit like sumo wrestling. And again, you should watch sumo wrestling to know what it takes there. And of course that's not an Olympic sport, but you'll know these different sports and you'll see different moves. And like I've said, when you watch those videos of such cases for any sport, what you do is switch off the commentary, okay? Because if you had to watch this and now some commentator was going to speak about this, you can hear all the music behind, the whole drama, and the commentator is speaking about how, oh, look at that lift, and it's amazing the way the wrestler from I don't know which country, but let's say he's from Germany, how he's lifted, and this is brilliant the way he's lifted, and he's amazing, and his past. So now you're suddenly getting an idea of who you've decided he's amazing, and you've started looking at him as a star, and then maybe you watch a few more videos, you become a fan, and you've decided he lost. Our role is not to look at the winner or the loser. Our job is to look at the capacity that is there of the body to do physically. And same goes here. If this person can move fast, that's what we want to see. We don't want to see if he's a star. So when you take the noise out of any video, you will always start seeing sense. And this is one way you can even watch your matches. If you're into watching any sport, try it next time. Just turn off the volume and watch, and you'll exactly see, like a sports science specialist, the physical aspect of it. Who is really fit, maybe if it's football, whose passing is good, if it's cricket, whose bowling is really good, whose action is good. So you'll start seeing it from an analytical point of view rather than like a fan for whom all these commentators are. And these commentators obviously, they need to, if somebody wins, they'll say, we always knew it, the team had it. If they lose, they'll pick up the points, that's their job. They are paid to create drama. We need no drama. So as a sports science specialist, you need least drama, and the show needs drama, but you can't think that somebody is a star and I'm going to hang around with him, take a picture with him. No, that's your student. That's a professional who's come. You're not there to take pictures. Many people do that. They get very enamored by all these famous stars, and then they mess up their jobs. Okay, and when they have to quit the job, they get very disappointed because they thought like, oh, this is my friend. Nobody is a friend in this. They are clients, or you can say they are students. They've paid you. That's why you are there. They are not there to make friendship with you. So I hope that's understood, and you can watch in that particular course. You can go through that. There's a channel I run by my own name, a small video channel where it's mainly designed for sports science specialists to know what to do, what not to. There's one video we have done on, I think, on celebrity, the myth of celebrity physios and trainers. So just quickly we'll go through the Olympic wrestling bout format. So basically what happens in now freestyle and Greco-Roman, as you can see here, almost similar across all, with women as well. So men's freestyle, if you check the match duration, so let's look at the match duration first, 2 periods of 3 minutes. So that's it. Same here for men's Greco-Roman. So the one where we are talking about holding above the hip, same. Women, same thing. So equality, all of them are doing the same thing. The rest period between bouts, unlike boxing which has 1 minute and badminton which has 2, here it's only 30 seconds. Same here 30 seconds, same here 30 seconds. So total wrestling time including the 3 break and 3 is basically active 6 minutes, 6 minutes, 6 minutes. Okay. Scoring duration, this is again, I have put this in the table, but understand this is for the coach, 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 coach. You don't really have much because the scoring is not done for the fitness. The scoring is done for the technical ability, how the person scores. So that is a different thing, that depends on the judges, okay, that the coach has to take note. This is not. Your role would be to check, can your wrestler do this for this many times? Whether it's any of these, can your wrestler do this? And that means 2 minutes. For 3 minutes, can they keep going? Are their muscles good? And are they better than what they were? That's your role. And you can then check if in this 30 seconds, can they recover through breathing techniques, through visualization. And again, if you have a physiotherapist, a psychologist, they will help here. But even your methods of recovery, are they helping? Aerobic based training, is it helping? So that is your role. And to check overall, if in all this 6 minutes of work, are they physically conditioned? And you have done that. If you can do that, you've hit the nail on the head. And like I said, this is what I would do, and this is why I would be confident to work. Even if I have not worked with a wrestler, I would assess the movements, I would assess the time taken, I would assess the force produced, create a program and keep observing, because even I have to learn. Keep observing, be very involved in the process, not be the person to think, oh, I'm so and so coach and you just do this. This is my program. So don't become a magician, become a professional. So far I hope in this first lecture we have cleared all this. In the second one, we'll go a bit more into detail about how to create a program. So hopefully this has helped so far. We'll meet in the next lecture. Thank you.